Yes, it's that time of day again. MASL Monday, folks. What's going on? Alex Bastiavansky and Phil Levanko, the crazy twosome, are back for another episode. How you doing, my Chrome
Alex,
Dome friend?
We are working on the holidays. A happy Festivus to you.
And to you, my friend. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. It's what are the plans, Phil? What are the plans for a big family gathering?
We've got to split. We split, right? We both sides have to see their only granddaughter, and God forbid that one spends one more minute than the other side. So
you got to have an equal balance.
We split it down evenly. I break out the old stopwatch, and I make sure that everyone gets equal time so they can flood her with presents that don't fit in our house.
Absolutely. Nana and Papa have to be happy with that equal split between the kids. There's no question about it, or else it'll be a never-ending story, right? So anyway, welcome everybody. Of course, we are MASL Monday. Please follow us on all the social media outlets. We are so happy to be back and talking about it just gets crazier every week, Phil. And we've got Joey Tavernese coming on from Harrisburg later on, who was saying to us a few moments ago that he thinks this might be the most balanced season ever since he's been in the league, and he's been in the league for a while. But we're getting to the point now where we're seeing that anyone can beat anyone on any given night, and that hasn't always been the case over the past few years, Phil. We'll get to all the games and the reasons behind that, but let's start with are you gonna do the theme music? Are you gonna hum it at least?
They're very litigious, very litigious. We have to roll with the highlights.
I'm
doing it. We can't.
The force
Studios.
The force is strong with Empire, my friend. The Empire struck back this past weekend. Yes, they did. 2 big wins, Phil. Let's start with the Tacoma game, I guess.
Yeah.
And boy, do I have egg on my face. I was all in on Tacoma after their first couple of games this season. Empire spanked them 10-5. What was your take on this contest? Because Tacoma was leading heading into the second half, Phil.
Yeah, 2 second-half comebacks from Empire this weekend. What really stood out to me is how they play the system that Coach Obasi has brought to Empire, bringing the goalie over the halfway line so he can be involved in the offense. You're going to see it right here on the goalie goal, right? There's space open, and he takes it, and he smacks it cross post. So it's very risk-reward, this style of play, right? Because you leave your net wide open. But we saw Tacoma try it. We saw Texas try it. No one has scored a goal yet on that empty netter. But, I really think the second half in this game, Empire just executed better. They just wanted it more. It was a bit of a must win for the Strikers. Yeah, Stinson has been out of his mind. He's been absolutely out of his mind to start the year. But so well executed from the Strikers in this game against Tacoma. And then as we're going to see with the Texas highlight a little bit later on, down in that game as well, but sticking to the plan, sticking to the system, belief in the system, and it's paying off for sure. I mean, what about Tacoma's side here? Airing of grievances. Come on, it's Festivus.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I was high on Tacoma because they had a 9-game winning streak coming in or going out of the regular season last year. They beat Chihuahua in the first game of their playoff series, and then they dropped San Diego in their opener this season. And, the way that they had played and should have beaten Chihuahua, let's be honest, with that Nick Pereira goalpost in the dying seconds there. So, listen, Tacoma's got, obviously they're going to get things going, but I won't lie. I got a little bit of egg on my face. I thought they were a little more ready than they are so far, but we'll pick up play as time goes along. But they got spanked this weekend for sure. 10-5 against Empire. Sorry, you were just showing the Texas highlights there, and our good buddy Eddie Puskarich making his Texas Outlaws coaching debut. And as you said, Texas had actually had the lead going into the second half and that contest as well. And once again, Empire turns it on in the second half, and they were gone.
Yeah, once again, another comeback for the Empire, and another note for Justin Stinson, 6 points this entire weekend. He's been leading the charge. Before we leave this segment, we have to say, though, Marco Fabian did not score in Texas. The first time he's not scored
in his entire MASL career, which is crazy to think about. How many games was that, by the way? Did you add it up?
Oh, I didn't do my own research on this one.
We'll have to come up with that next week. Where's our statistician today, for crying out loud? Okay, so do you want to talk about continue with San Diego and Tacoma then? Continuing
let's just talk real quick. San Diego Tacoma. Again, another collapse from the Stars. My big takeaway from the Stars weekend is they're just one piece away. They just need one more piece to get them over the edge. They had Jamal Cox back this weekend. He missed the game in Tacoma, birth of a kid. So congratulations to the Cox family. And he scored an absolute banger in that Empire game as well. But I just think San Diego kind of wore on them. And they're just, Tacoma's just a little bit off. Nick did his usual Nick things, as he always does.
As he always does.
But, Stars, like I said, they're a little bit away and a little bit off. And I think what we saw last year as opposed to this year is, maybe a couple more pieces to get them over the hump.
They were leading 3-1 at the half in this one, too.
Yeah.
And San Diego comes back. We knew San Diego was going to be up for the game after losing their opener to Tacoma. So, okay, quickly, we've got a minute and a half. St. Louis, Dallas. St. Louis squeaks by. It was a 7-6, I believe, the final score. And buddy, St. Louis needed this win. After the way they started the season, they desperately needed this win. No question about it.
Real story in this one is St. Louis absolutely needing this win. And sort of Dallas playing them really well and really tight all game.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunate error by Lachlan at the end of the game, giving St. Louis the victory there. It's just not there yet for the ambush.
Do we have it in the highlight pack?
We do. Yes, we do.
The goal. Yeah. As we're about to see. Yeah. But sorry, go on. By the way, that's my goal of the week right there. Absolutely gorgeous set play off the free kick. I loved it. But
so here it is. Here's and it's just coming out, and he played great all game, but this is a mistake. And it allows St. Louis to come in and grab the 3 points. Unfortunate for him, because like I said, he did play well, but St. Louis.
Yeah.
St. Louis, it's just we're waiting for it still. We're waiting for it to click. We're waiting for it to start humming, and it's just not there yet. You want to talk about egg on face too, right? Will SK guaranteed a victory in this one in the post game from last week. So that would have been interesting if Dallas ended up with this.
I feel terrible for Lachlan and looking at his reaction to where he just put his hands on his head and fell to the turf knowing what happened. I mean, but when you're a goaltender, that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You live
in the margins, right?
My dad's staying with me. If he walked out and would have saw that, he would have started weeping because that's, he's had to deal with stuff like that as well. My dad was a professional goalkeeper for years. So we're just a little over time here. So we're going to take a very quick break and come back in just a moment with Joey Tavernese, more MASL Monday. Back in just a second. And we are back on MASL Monday, and so happy to be joined by an MASL legend, Joey Tavernese. Yes. Well, Joey, how long have you been in the league for now? How many seasons are we going on?
Honestly, I've lost track, but I think it's getting close to like 15 now.
Wow. 15, yeah. And with the Harrisburg Heat now, you guys have looked good so far. Let's start things off with you guys played Utica, who's looked really strong so far this season. Great game on Saturday. 7-6, couldn't quite pull it out, but tell us about the game, Joy.
Yeah, I mean, Utica are very strong offensively, as I think everyone's seen this year. Kelvin is probably leading the way for the MVP race early on in the season. And we have a young team, so there's a lot of problems that come with that because there's a lot of nuances to the game. And when you play a real good team like that, you give up some goals you shouldn't. We gave up a lot of restart goals to Kelvin, which causes some problems, as you see right there. And, it's some things that we're going to hopefully work through as the season goes on. And I think as the guys get a little bit more comfortable, especially the younger guys, hopefully we'll start to have a little bit more success.
How good has Kelvin been so far in his first full MASL season? I mean, Joe, you played up against him, but he's insane, isn't he?
So the thing that I would say most players that play at, Harrisburg's home field, it's a difficult spot to play at. The field is not as level as other fields. And every time he soul rolled the ball, as you've seen in all his clips, it's literally like flattened like a pancake, which I have not seen many people do there every single time. I think I saw him bobble the ball once at the bottom of his foot. Right. So his touch is extremely impressive.
Yeah. Sorry, Phil, I interrupted you. What were you going to ask?
No, I was just going to say, Joe, you've had a great start to the year, 2 hat tricks in your first 3 games. Are you surprised with your offensive output so far this year?
I wouldn't say surprised, but the last 2 years I would say were a little difficult for me. I did a little defensive work in Florida. Last year I was injured, and this year I'm getting a little older. I'm 35, so I know my years are limited, and I'm really just trying to enjoy it. The first 2 games, read the boards and read the game well. Unfortunately, yesterday, I think Baltimore executed a really good game plan on me, and I didn't adapt well. So hopefully I can kind of right the ship this Friday. But I'm just trying to enjoy it, really, and just had some good finishes and success in the first couple of games.
So yesterday's game, 6-3 for Baltimore. You guys were in it right till the end, though. But you took a hard knock, too. I think we're going to show that in the highlights here. But how you doing, by the way? That was a pretty hard check, and no penalty called on it after review.
Hey,
I was a little shocked about it.
I'm going to submit the clip of me getting boarded and him throwing himself into the boards, and it better be on review because that guy's a rookie. I've been for 15 years. He leveled me. I didn't even get a call. He dove in the boards and got a call. So
I might know someone.
For me.
I might know someone that can help with that process. So you've talked about how your role has sort of changed throughout the years, right? First in Florida, now in Harrisburg. How do you see your role with the Heat this year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in my entire career, I've never thought to think that I'm kind of the guy or the great player. My college coach always talked about piano carriers and piano players. I've always been a carrier, to be honest. But really, my role as I've gotten older is something I've taken on that the vets kind of did for me when I was a rookie. That goes for the Heat and a lot of players around the league that I'm friendly with. I'm trying to just help the guys on and off the field, really. Trying to teach them the game, the nuances of the game. If they want to learn, I want to help them. I've made a solid career off just learning the game. I score tap-in goals. I use the boards. I don't do anything fancy or special. I've just really been a student of the game. So, I want to give that back to the players because that's what the vets did for me. And then I want to help them off the field. Soccer and indoor soccer obviously is not going to be there forever and not going to give them a life forever. So, my thing in the league is always trying to reach out to guys, help the guys on the Heat, and really try and help them on and off the field as best I can.
Joe, you mentioned 15 years roughly. You think now 15 seasons roughly. You've been in the league. How has the league changed over the years from when you first came in?
I wouldn't say a lot has changed, but I'll tell you, when I played MISL, there were coaches, Danny Kelly, Keith Tozer, Vlatko, and those Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Kansas City teams, whether it was because I was a rookie or not, it was like chasing shadows, to be completely honest. They were just on another level, but the league was also smaller. So there was only 7 teams then, and the talent is more consolidated, which I tell a lot of people. That COVID year that we played in MASL was very competitive because everybody linked up with teams. And when you have all those best players, it gets really, really good. So when you have more players, I think it's cool for the league, but obviously talent gets dispersed a little bit more. So that would be the biggest takeaway for me.
Well, it's like your teammate now, Dom Francis. Was it Casey he was with during we got to see what Dom could do. I'm trying to phrase this properly, but surrounded by a bunch of other superstars, and he was an absolute standout. It was just he's always a standout, but surrounded by that kind of cast, it was incredible, wasn't it?
100%. Look at, for me yesterday, we had a few restarts and Elton just basically stood next to me. The ball came to me and I couldn't do anything with it, whereas if you go back to talking about Utica, even though, the ball is going to Kelvin, you got Gordy, Nilton, Vinny. So it's pick your poison, so we're trying to mold the Harrisburg guys to get there. And I think they will.
Yeah. So last question from me here. What would you like to see the next evolution of the league? We talked about how it was. How would you like this to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
How long do we have in the segment? I could be here
about 35 seconds.
Listen, the biggest thing for me is I just wish we would focus on the bigger picture rather than the smaller details. We've had some really big players in the league. We've had some good people involved in the league. In the day of social media, I think we should be doing a better job to promote this game. More TV time, more time on social media, more exposure, because there are some really talented players in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't think, the owners, the organizations, even the front office, I just don't think we do enough, and we don't spend enough time trying to exploit those routes. I know it takes time and money, but if we want it to get to where I know a lot of the players do, that's what it's going to take.
Okay, when we come back, Joey's going to put on his pundit hat here. Yeah. We're going to have some really good discussions. So more MASL Monday coming back in just a moment. Welcome back to MASL Monday on CBS Sports Golazo, everybody. Alex Bastiavansky, Phil Ivanko, and our special guest today, Joey Tavernese, who's going to put on his pundit hat today and give us his opinion on a few things.
Auditions? Is this auditions?
Auditions. He wants to be a regular.
Maybe.
Sorry, Eddie Piscarich, who's now coaching in Texas. Eddie, someone's trying to take your job now that you're coaching in Texas. You can't do anything about it.
Well, it's great to have that inside, because I'm sitting in my basement. So
absolutely, yeah. But I really want to get Joey's opinion on Dallas taking down Milwaukee 7-3. I did a double take. I didn't get to watch the game live. I saw the score. I did a double take. What are your thoughts on that, man? The parity is just unbelievable this year. You got Dallas taking down Milwaukee, who had taken down Kansas City, it's all the way down the list. The parity of the season is unbelievable. And also the second part of that, Joey, is it was part of a Milwaukee going back to back. They had to head out on the road. How tough is it to do that? And do you think that plays a part into the final score in this game?
Yeah, listen, as you said, and as I think we've said, the competitiveness across the league is just the best it's been in a while. But schedule doesn't make it easy either. So Milwaukee didn't play, I would say, their top team. A lot of guys stayed at home and didn't make the travel. It was also a 1-goal game until Jamie Lovegrove hit 2 half volleys from his own yellow line into an empty netter.
With each foot?
Yes, with both feet. I think if they're playing in Milwaukee and they're at full strength, it's a different score. But I do think Dallas is going to give people a hard time this year. They're very athletic. They work hard. And just touching on travel, we don't travel like NBA, MLB, NFL. We're traveling normal. And it is difficult to play back-to-backs. We're not, workload management sitting on the bench. We got 24 games, and most guys want to play them all.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the other game we've got to talk about is Milwaukee taking down Baltimore, and that's where they had the full roster, Joey. So, but fantastic game in Milwaukee. What did you see in that one? And what do you make of the Wave so far this season?
Yeah, I think Milwaukee, they have the pieces. I think they got to kind of figure it out as it goes along. They got guys like Mario kind of taking over because Marcio is obviously no longer running the show. So I think they're going to figure it out. They have a very talented team. I've always thought Jules is a extremely intelligent indoor soccer mind. And Baltimore is obviously I call them like the Florida tropics. They brought in a bunch of my old teammates. And I think if you watch the game last night, Julian, who I brought to Utica a few years ago, he made a bunch of saves on me yesterday. And I think he is going to be a goalkeeper in this league and one to look out for in the future.
I had that same note about Baltimore too. They made a goalie change from one game to the next, and Julian was really excellent in that game. And I'm not just saying that was because we're from the same hometown.
So, okay, Joey, let's do a couple quick questions then. We've got about 3 minutes left here, 3.5 minutes. Which team has impressed you so far the most this season? Is Chihuahua just kind of a no-brainer with their dominance so far?
Unfortunately, you got to stick with Chihuahua. And I think it's kind of like the old Baltimore Blast. Unless you beat them, they're the ones on top. Mm-hmm. But I do think that with the playoff format change this year, I think they can be knocked off. It definitely adds a different element with them not having their home field advantage.
Yeah. Their superpower is at home. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, on that small turf. Phil, you got the next one.
Which player has impressed you the most this year?
It's tough. I think you got two running neck and neck right now, which is Morales and Kelvin. And you got to give credit to Justin. I think he's the one that's kind of right behind them in the early season goings.
Morales has been very good for San Diego too.
Great pickup. What's your take on San Diego? Because Phil last week was sort of unimpressed about the way they've done so far, but also the last couple of seasons, San Diego has not been as dominant as we've seen them, in the seasons previous, despite that. But they're getting younger now. They brought in some of the young guns and everything. Is it just going to take them a little bit of time to sort of gel together, Joey?
I think so. I mean, I think athletic teams do give them a problem. Tacoma, Kansas City, Utica. But I also think you have a lot of new pieces in there. You have Morales coming in with an already pretty stacked roster. So
Sebastian Mendez.
Mendez so as well. You have a lot of people that want the ball. And I mean, one of my favorite players, Craig, hasn't, scored as many as he normally would, right? So when you have other options, you got to kind of figure it out. And they've been, bitten by the injury bug a little bit. Leo was out for a little bit, Serta, Cardenas. So I think once they're at full strength and they start to figure it out, I've got them in the Final Four at least.
Any more pressing questions, Phil, before we get to the fun stuff? Not that this isn't fun, but you know what I mean.
No, let's just go straight to the fun stuff. I think we're going to have a debate here.
Well, this is a very important question since 'tis the season. Joey, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Die Hard is 100% a Christmas movie. If you haven't watched Hans Gruber fall from the top to his death during the holiday season, it's not the holiday season.
Is it mostly just because there's a Christmas party going on and they play a little Christmas music at the end? And he uses Christmas wrapping for the gun on the back. I mean, is this why it's a holiday staple? I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. These are important questions, though.
It has the holiday season vibe and feel, but I mean, it is a holiday movie. It's not the best, which would be It's a Wonderful Life.
Stole mine. Okay, that's what I was going to say as well. The next question was the best of all time for me. It's a Wonderful Life is, I do have it's a shorter one, but the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cartoon as well is like in second place for me, with the Island of Misfit Toys and everything like that. But It's a Wonderful Life is. Phil, what takes the cake for you? Best Christmas movie?
Grinch, hands down.
Are you talking about the Jim Carrey?
No, the original. It has to be the original
cartoon.
The cartoon.
Yes. The old cartoon.
We're on the same page with the Rudolph Grinch thing. That's the same era and everything like that. I love the Grinch as well.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, this has been awesome, and wishing you both a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Yeah. Joey, really quick, 10 seconds. What are you doing?
I'm going home. I'm going to go home. It's the Feast of the Seven Fishes tonight tomorrow night for Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, and then to Baltimore, ready to play again.
Ready to rock and roll. Very short break. Guys, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time at home watching. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas to you and your families, and to Phil and to Joey. We will see you again soon. Phil, probably within the next week. Joey, probably pretty soon again as well. So I think we should have Joey on again for sure. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.